and there, it's going to antagonise this crowd.
This guy was arrested, locked in a cell for 10 hours, and then banned from the city of Westminster after he attended Pride on Saturday. You're not going to believe why.
Chat over there? Right. Yeah, we're going to have a chat over there. Let's have a chat over there. The sign that you're wearing, is going to cause friction within this crowd. Freedom of speech, all right? Look, we all have freedom of speech, okay? But that is going to cause a problem right here. In order to stop that, I would like you to remove it.
We have a two-tier system in this country, and you're representing it. I have the freedom to do this. I'm not being antagonistic. This is called fact. This is my freedom of expression, and I should be able to have that conversation.
Right. Look, I'm not getting into anyone's views on it. Like, you're quite entitled to your opinion, as is anyone else. Right? For the purposes of avoiding any kind of disorder happening.
So because of them, I have to shut my mouth up. These people are...
Very good point. Because there is a crowd of people who are angry, who are intolerant, who shout and scream rather than engage in reasonable debate. Those of us who are trying to engage in reasonable debate, our opinions have to be silenced. That is exactly what is happening.
Supposed to be lovely, loving people, aren't they?
Yeah, I appreciate that.
It's subjective policing. That's not law. You're not living by the law. You have an opinion, and you're very entitled to that, and I don't have to respond to it.
Right, so is there anything I can reasonably say or do?
No.
I mean, what's your purpose?
My purpose is to engage in conversations, provoke debate, get people thinking, and have a community and a society where people like me are entitled to have a different opinion without being marginalised by other groups. Why am I not allowed to have this opinion?
Would you be willing to remove it?
You're not going to win me over, but I appreciate it. Thank you.
So there we go. So he has that conversation with the policeman, shakes his hand, walks away, walks a couple of streets. He explains he's not trying to start a fight, he just wants to have debates with people. And then this happens.
Currently I'm being arrested for expressing freedom of speech.
This gentleman has committed an offence by displaying sign or writing that is likely to cause harassment, alarm or distress.
So this guy, Montgomery Toms is his name, he's only 20 years old, bless him, and he's being arrested for wearing a sign at a Pride event. So he has that conversation with the police officers that we just previously saw. He then walks off, shakes the guy's hand, walks down a couple of streets, and he essentially gets followed by, I think, about 10 coppers who all come to arrest him for this sign. He didn't cause any huge fuss, no big fights or riots broke out or anything like that, but he is being arrested because the police think it's too dangerous for him to wear that sign.
Wearing a sign which says the trans flag, which is included in the Pride demonstration at great lengths, equals mental illness, which is greatly the case. That is why young people have been mutilated. That is why young people have been, that's why the Tavistock clinic was closed down for mutilating young people. I'm now going to be searched. Apparently I'm provoking, apparently what I'm doing is harmful. I've done nothing wrong. I've exercised my right to demonstrate. I've exercised my right to protest. I've exercised my inalienable rights, God-given. The UK used to be free. Did you remember those times? But in lockdown, we didn't see that, did we? We saw the police behave horrifically. We saw what the police doing now, cuffing me for what? Freedom of expression, freedom of speech, inciting nothing. I had calm, rational debates with people. I was not disrespectful. I love people. I'm a Christian. Of course, police don't like Christians these days. I am currently under arrest for wearing a sign which subjectively you deem as being too controversial to provoke what?
About controversial.
And what
is that the fact that it is likely to cause harassment, alarm or distress?
So you admit that these...
So there we go. Likely to cause harassment, alarm or distress. That is the justification that the police gave for arresting this guy, Montgomery Toms. As I said, he then ended up spending 10 hours in a police cell. He then got banned from the city of Westminster. Let's take a look at his tweet. So he says, on Saturday, I attended the Pride March to offer a counter perspective. The trans flag, in my view, represents child mutilation, indoctrination, mental illness, and a mass psychological operation that has convinced people there are multiple genders and that it is okay to attack young minds. Someone has to challenge these lies at a grassroots level, and that's exactly what I went there to do. In return, I was arrested, detained for 10 hours, released on pre-charge bail, and have now been banned from Westminster City. This is the United Kingdom. Freedom of speech is rapidly vanishing, and the police no longer act under their oath to uphold the law impartially. I mean, crazy example of two-tier policing. We see this time and time again, where you've got a huge mob of, whether it's pro-Palestine protesters or just the people attending Pride, who the police know would be intolerant, would cause a fuss, would shout and scream, maybe try and attack someone who shows a different point of view to them. But the person that the police goes after is the one individual or the few individuals who are going up there, you know, to debate rationally, just showing their point of view, because they think that's easier than having to control a huge mob. But that means people get arrested, they get charged, and end up with, you know, potentially, you know, criminal history or whatever that comes up on a DBS check, makes it hard for them to get a job. Even if they don't get that, there's, you know, you just Google search their name and then they're tarnished, ruining their career just because the police want the easy route out. And of course, it has a chilling effect on free speech for the rest of us. It makes everyone else terrified to speak their minds. Now, that was on Saturday. That's not the only crazy arrest that happened on Saturday. We also had this happen in Leeds. So we had this guy goes to a pro-Palestine protest.
Fight against Israel. You feel that strongly? Go and fight them. We can put you on a plane, a CH-17, whatever they call it, and you can go and fight against the Israelis. How good's that? You feel so strong that you give up your Saturday. Come on, we are go and fight them. Go and fight them.
So this guy, he's going up to a group of pro-Palestine protesters and asking them, okay, which of you are willing to actually go and fight the Israelis? Anyone want to actually go, be flown out to Gaza and fight the Israelis, seeing as you're willing to spend every single Saturday chanting about it and making it your whole personality? Are you willing to face the music yourself? No fight seems to break out, but then he seems to get arrested just for saying what he says.
Look at the flag as well.
And throughout this whole thing, he's surrounded by police officers. He's talking to the police officers, telling them what he's doing, why he's doing it, that he's not trying to cause a fuss, and being clear what he thinks his rights are. He's cooperating pretty significantly, if you ask me. But then they decide to arrest him anyway.
Yeah, I'm listening to it. But do you have any...
Let's scroll forward a little bit here.
What they're doing is wrong. Morally wrong. Now, if you don't want to do that, then you can take me away by force. But I'm not leaving these people. I've not broken the law.
So he's standing up for his rights and saying, I haven't broken the law, just expressing my freedom of speech. And then sure enough, we whiz forward, and this guy ends up being arrested in the handcuffs.
There was no breach of
the peace.
Breach of the peace, there we go. Again, breach of the peace. And off they take him in to the van. He goes. Taken away. Locked up in the van. He's not getting all shouty and horrible with the police. He's just trying to explain to them rationally and calmly, you know, what he thinks his rights are. Even before he went and spoke to the crowd, he was talking to police about what he was planning to do. Yet they still chose to lock him up for breach of the peace. And off he goes. So there we go. Two crazy examples of two-tier policing on Saturday. The fight for freedom of speech goes on. We cannot give up. We need to highlight these cases so that the police know they absolutely cannot get away with this. We will not stand for it. Now, that guy there, you know, some people said, and I think the police said in that video when they were being filmed, oh, he'd had some drinks. And okay, he may have had a few beers. I think I could tell by the tone of his voice that he had. But was he getting aggressive? No, he absolutely wasn't. So I don't see why that's an issue. But anyway, there we go. I'm Chloe Dobbs. Thank you for watching this video. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss out on any more videos. Catch you next time.